Minister, in light of the recent statistics released by the Central Statistics Office, which indicate a very concerning 30% decrease in foreign visitors to Ireland year on year, I think it's clear that the Government simply must acknowledge the gravity of this situation and must commit to addressing the underlying causes and implications of this decline. Some 304,000 foreign visitors completed a trip to Ireland in February, down from 433,000 in the same month last year. And as we know, tourism is one of the biggest and largest indigenous industries and biggest employer in Ireland, with some 257,000 people working in the sector. And Ireland took in $6.2 billion from overseas tourists in 2024, despite a 3% reduction in bed nights. It has been said by observers in the industry that last month's decline represented an acceleration of the downward trend in foreign visitor numbers that saw first indications last September. The tourism sector is one of the cornerstones of our economy, particularly in a county like my own of Wexford, contributing significantly to job creation, community development and cultural exchange. The reduction in foreign visitors not only impacts businesses reliant on tourism, but also affects local economies, indigenous jobs and the vibrancy of our communities. And as such, the Government simply has to recognise the need for a strategic and multifaceted response to challenges faced by the industry and indeed everyone involved. Firstly, I believe we must conduct a thorough analysis of the factors contributing to the decline. Is it the geopolitical situation? Is it the cost of visiting Ireland? Why is it happening, and why such a big reduction? And I believe understanding these dynamics will enable us to formulate effective strategies to attract visitors back to our shores. In response to these findings, we must actively work to enhance our marketing efforts to promote Ireland as a premier travel destination. And this includes a renewed focus on digital marketing campaigns targeting key international markets, as well as collaborations with airlines and travel agencies to incentivise travel to Ireland. We must also emphasise our unique cultural heritage, our natural beauty and our hospitality to entice potential visitors. The Government must commit to investing in infrastructure and service that enhance the visitor experience. This includes upgrading our transport links, looking at regional airports such as Waterford, improving accommodation options and ensuring that our attractions are accessible and appealing. A positive visitor experience is crucial for encouraging repeat visits and fostering positive word-of-mouth recommendations. Additionally, engagement with stakeholders in the tourism sector to gather insights and recommendations on how to better support businesses in coping with the downturn. This may involve exploring financial aid programmes, grants and training initiatives aimed at helping businesses to adapt to the changing landscape of tourism. There must be collaboration also with our international partners to promote safe travel practices and restore confidence in international travel. By fostering a cooperative approach with other countries, we can ensure that Ireland remains an attractive and safe destination for travellers. A 30% decrease in foreign visitors is a very significant concern. We must remain steadfast in our commitment to revitalising the tourism sector. Through comprehensive analysis, strategic marketing, infrastructure investment and stakeholder collaboration, we must all put our shoulders to the wheel to restore Ireland's position as a leading travel destination and support the recovery of our economy. Minister, can I ask, will the Government to commit to support all these urgent requirements in an effort to reverse the radical downturn that we've seen in the number of foreign visitors coming to our shores?
Minister. Thank you very much for that, and I'd like to thank Deputy Lawlor for raising this important matter. My very first job when I graduated was working for Fáilte Ireland, so I've been following these statistics with huge interest. And of course today I'm taking this on behalf of the relevant minister. The latest Central Statistics Office CSO figures for overseas visitor numbers were published last Friday, as you've spoken about. And those figures were specific to February 2025, and it showed that 304,300 foreign visitors completed a trip to Ireland in February of this year, and that these visitors spent €196 million in Ireland, excluding their fares for getting here and leaving. Both the visitor numbers and the associated revenue represent an approximate 30% reduction compared to February of the year previous. In relation to how the data provides an insight into the outlook for Irish tourism this year, it's important to recognise that the figures published to date for 2025 only cover January and February. And in recent years, those 2 months typically accounted for less than 10% of the total annual overseas visitor spend. Furthermore, I understand that sentiment from the tourism sector itself is far more positive, with research showing that 39% of businesses anticipate an increase in visitor levels this year, while 47% expect growth in overseas visitors. Earlier this week, officials from the Tourism Division met with the CSO and the tourism agencies to discuss these overseas visitor figures. And I understand that a meeting with tourism industry representatives, the tourism agencies and the CSO will take place tomorrow to consider any other sources of data that could assist in gathering a more complete picture of the recent overseas tourism performance. And that will assist the tourism agencies to put in place targeted activity for the rest of the year to ensure that we achieve our long-term growth targets. In this regard, it's worth remembering that we're coming off the back of a strong year for tourism in Ireland, where overseas visitors spent over €6 billion, representing an increase of 11% compared to the year previous, 2023. I am, however, well aware of the challenges that lie ahead for the tourism industry. With macroeconomic uncertainty in the world now, there is a risk that consumers will become more cautious, including when it comes to travel. But on the positive side, there are also many opportunities to take advantage of our wonderful tourism offering. As the Deputy be aware, the Dublin Airport cap is on hold for the summer months, and it's encouraging to note that we will have 110% of the air seat capacity that we had last summer from key source markets like the United States and Canada. Tourism Ireland will be supporting partners operating brand new routes like Indianapolis and Nashville with demand generation and partnership activities. In the longer term, the review of the Dublin Airport cap is an important commitment within the programme for government. Alongside our support for regional airports, we can ensure that air capacity is there to ensure real tourism revenue growth in the years ahead. We can also look forward to major sporting events that will bring significant tourism benefits to our shore. The hosting of the Open at Royal Portrush in July will ensure golf enthusiasts travel to other areas of the island to experience firsthand our exceptional golf courses. We'll also be playing host to significant US visitors on foot of the American college football game in August and the NFL game later in the autumn. We know ongoing selling points for Ireland with visitors are our scenery, our culture, our history and our crack. And Tourism Ireland will be launching a new campaign in June focused on helping people get around the regions and explore the island. Earlier this week, the Mehel event was held in Killarney, and that's also a flagship tourism trade event. And the Tourism Policy Framework 2025 to 2030 was just published by the previous government last November, and I understand that my colleague Peter Burke, whom tourism is now transitioning to as a new competency, has asked officials to consider how commitments in the new programme for government align with the policy framework and to prioritise the finalisation of a new tourism policy which reflects the programme for government and other commitments. And once that work is complete, I think we'll have more insights on this.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Lawlor.
Thank you for your response. I mentioned in my opening remarks that the area, I wondered, was it geopolitical? Was that the reason for the difficulties we're seeing in foreign visitors coming to Ireland between President Trump and President Putin's antics, indeed the war in Ukraine and other disturbances around the world and wars and atrocities around the world? Is that playing a role, particularly in the American market? I was in Savannah a few weeks ago, and the level of interest in Ireland, albeit over the St. Patrick's Day weekend, was absolutely immense. Savannah has a population of about 150,000 people, and 750,000 people attended the parade. Such was the level of interest. So when you talk about routes and things like that, I think we should be looking to identify areas in the States where we can have direct flights to enhance the possibility of visitors from those areas returning to Ireland. I appreciate what you say, that it only covers January, February, but I sincerely hope it's not a trend, because if it is, we are in some difficulty. I absolutely welcome the meetings between the various agencies and think that this should be an ongoing factor and an ongoing event to ensure that we really have our finger on the pulse, because I think the distractions of what's going on in the world may, with the tariffs, etc., coming down the tracks, may have distracted us and had our eye off the ball when we look at these figures. I would also like to extend a welcome to everybody to come to Wexford, a wonderful county, wonderful beaches, wonderful heritage, and particularly this year again when we host once again Fleadh Cheoil na hÉireann. I know you have a social event coming up in the next couple of weeks, Minister, and maybe you would see Wexford as a destination for that. But thank you for your response, and I look forward to the improving stats.
Thank you, Deputy Lawlor. Deputy or Minister Higgins.
Thank you very much, Deputy, for that kind invitation. I attended the Fleadh Cheoil in Wexford last year, and I have to say it was fantastic. As Ken Corda will certainly be aware as well, it was fantastic to see the town absolutely buzzing, to see so much activity and so much spin-off trade happening. And I'd like to thank you for raising this really important issue. Since the COVID pandemic, tourism has shown again and again its resilience, and it's played a really significant part in our economic recovery. Last year was a very strong one from a tourism perspective. There was over 6.5 million overseas visitors who came to our shores. And in terms of tourism sentiment, it's really encouraging to note that Fáilte Ireland's Tourism Barometer, the Strategic Research and Insight findings from earlier this year, showed that 39% of businesses expect their visitor levels to be up this year. And overseas visitors underpin the positive expectations, with 47% of businesses expecting an increase from that market. While CSO figures for the first 2 months were disappointing, like you, I look forward to being updated on the engagement between the CSO, the tourism industry and the tourism agencies to further examine this data and the context to give us more insights into it. As I highlighted, I think there are real grounds for optimism in the months ahead, and in this regard, intensive marketing campaigns are underway in all our main overseas markets to ensure growth returns, while Fáilte Ireland is continuing its domestic activity also. And as we approach the peak tourism season, I know that the tourism agencies are continuing to work hard with all their partners, including their air and their sea carriers, to ensure that Ireland is seen as a must-visit destination. From a government perspective, it's very important what we discussed earlier around the CAP, and it's also important to see those new routes coming on stream, and I take your feedback in relation to Savannah, and perhaps that's something we should look at. But from the government's perspective, the programme for government, it comprehensively sets out this government's ambitious plans to strengthen and to enhance the tourism sector, and look forward to working with you on that.
Thank you.